Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tracy. This is Not Afraid of Color, and today I'm doing a video for Technique Junkies. In today's video, we will be creating this thank you card for one of our military members. So let's get started. We started out with the thank you for your service set, SS150 from Technique Junkies. And we are going to be using the soldier, the thank you for your service, and then thank you for the sacrifices on the inside. So I'm going to set these aside and we're going to do a background first. And I'm grabbing a piece of watercolor paper, and it's just important to keep in mind that with the watercolor paper, it's a little bit harder to stamp. Even though there's a smooth side, it's not that smooth. So I'm using 3 distress inks here, and I'm going to start out with the crushed olive, actually 2 inks and 1 oxide. I'm just going to rub that all over my mat, get it wet, spread it around with my fingers, and just start smushing. And this is sped up because smushing is smushing, right? So there's that color. Let me wipe this off, and we'll go in next with the peeled paint. Want it to be a little bit dry before you go in with the next color. I'm getting quite a lot of that. Same process, just getting it wet and smushing it down. So I'm trying to get sort of military colors going here, sort of-ish. I mean, we definitely have a drab khaki around here somewhere, but you know me, I like my color. So I've dried that off a bit, and next I'm going to go in with my Forest Moss Distress Oxide, more water, start dipping. And I'll wipe off my mess, and I've pretty much got the coloring that I like. And we're going to be doing a lot more to this, so I've dried it and I'm straightening it out. And now I'm going to get out this olivine shimmering bliss spray, and I'm just going to start dripping it all over onto the card. So it's going to give a kind of a gold, but kind of a greenish gold. So it's a little bit of glitz, but not a bunch. And if you want to get more out, you can just take your brush and dip it directly in and tap off. And I like to go in towards the bottom so I can get all that shimmery goodness. And I'm just going to splatter it on there and make sure it's good and dry before I move on to the next step. Now that I've got it dry, I'm going to trim it down to 4 by 5 1/4 with my decal trimmer. Just all 4 edges. And then I'm going to do some touch-ups here with the Forest Moss. And I'm just going to color in anything that's white, and I'm coloring along all the edges. Isn't that Shimmering Bliss just beautiful? There's a color for every occasion. Now I want to deepen that edge a little bit more, so I'm going to go in with my walnut stain. And this is walnut stain distress ink, by the way. And just get those edges. Okay, now we've got that done. Time to move on to the next step. So I'm going to get out my stamping platform, and I'm going to place the card in my platform, or the panel into my platform. And I see how I've kind of got it lined up with the grid there. And I use a piece of acetate to line up my stamps, because I'm going to be stamping them both at the same time. So I'm kind of just deciding on placement here. Then I'll pick it up and I'll give it a test run. And if I like the placement, then I'll remove the acetate and stamp directly on the paper. And my acetate moved on me. I want to be careful of that too, but I want to make sure that I've got everything kind of centered. So I'm just going to rearrange here a little bit, wipe it off, test it again. And yeah, I'm happy with the results there. Just clean this off. Now I want that, it's a little bit off center for me. I want it kind of right in the middle of my soldier. So let's give it another test run. There we go, I'm happy with that. So I'll go ahead and clean off my acetate and move it. and then go ahead and start stamping. But before I do, I'm going to take my little embossing buddy and just put it all over the paper. Now I ran that paper through my Mink, covered with other paper, by the way, to flatten it and to make sure it was completely dry. So I'm going to stamp this. I think I stamp it about 4 times before I get it how I want it, nice and black. Because again, we are stamping here on watercolor paper, so it's a little bit more difficult to stamp on. I can see bald spots in there, so I'm just going to continue to stamp until... Now the mica will show through, and that's okay, as long as I know that I've got coverage here for my next step. So just stamp it a couple more times. I'd like to take this time while I'm stamping here to thank our military members, past and present, for all you do. Want you to know you're greatly appreciated. And there are a lot of veterans organizations out there that you can make these cards for and send to. I'm not going to link any because I do it through a private hospital. It's a veteran, or yeah, it's a veterans hospital. But you can Google yourself and find out places where you can send cards to military members, because they're greatly appreciated, especially our deployed military members. And a thank you is always an amazing thing to get. So yeah, looks like one more here just for good measure. Make sure it's nice and wet. So last year I want to say it was for Veterans Day. I did 12 cards, and that was the commitment to send out 12 cards to this particular woman who administers the program. So if you buy this stamp set, for sure, you could make multiples and send them out, save them, send them out, save some for Veterans Day, whatever. So I'm going to go ahead and pour some clear heat embossing powder over the top of this and get my heat tool and emboss that image. So right now you can get 15% off of the new release through May 8th. After that, you can still get 10% off using my discount code TJ10COLOR for everything else in the store. There we go, nice and shiny and pretty, loving it, loving it. So I am going to that's going to go down onto a craft card base, but before I put it down, I want to just deepen those edges a little bit more. So I'm going to take my VersaFine Clair and I'm just going to rub the black along the very edge there. Because, you know, in my mind, this is going to be a card for a guy, most likely my son. And so, you know, I want to make sure that it's, I don't know, guyish. I do want to stamp the sentiment on the inside before I put that together, so I'm going to grab that sentiment. And I will also do placement with my piece of acetate. Oh, spit it out, you got this. Wipe that off to make sure the back of my card's not too dirty. I need some new washi tape on my magnet. It's all ripped up and it's hard to pick up that magnet. It's really a strong magnet. So I'm checking my placement here. And even if a stamp is marked, it doesn't necessarily mean that the markings are exactly straight. I can attest to that. Some of my Tim Holtz stamps aren't exactly as they're marked. Not many, but it's a good idea to test. Now see, I can see that that's a little crooked, and I'm trying to kind of line up the fonts with the grid line on my my stamping platform. Okay, I think I'm pretty good with that. So I'm going to remove the acetate and go ahead and stamp it down. Well, apparently I wasn't good. Yeah, testing again because my acetate moved. Yeah, we're golden. I need a thicker piece of acetate, I think. And I am going to stamp that twice to make sure it's good and dark, because we are working with craft paper. All right, home stretch right here. Okay, so I'm going to glue this directly down because I do plan on mailing it. And so I'll glue it directly down to the craft card base. Nothing popped up, a real simple mail, normal postage. If I'm doing a really fancy one, you know, and I can, but generally I'll deliver those in like a manila envelope thing. So I've got these stars here that I made. I just die cut those, and I don't know where I got that star die cut. Maybe I got it free from, I don't know, somewhere. And I'm just kind of deciding where I want to put these stars so that my image is balanced. I'm going to do 5. And I do want to grunge up those stars a bit so that they stand out, because you really can't see them like that. But I don't want to put gold or silver or anything else. So I'm going to take my black soot distress ink and one of these little makeup brushes, because they're tiny. And I'm just going to go around all the edges of each one of these 5 stars. It's pretty simple, and that will just make them stand out, because I did cut those out of craft paper as well. I just don't see putting sequins on a guy card. You could. I mean, depends on the guy, right? Now these little ones are a little bit more difficult to do, but not really. They're just hard to hold, and obviously you can see I get dirty doing it, but that's my nature. I'm good with that. And you can see that beautiful gold olivine shimmering bliss all over it. So it does, you do get some bling, so to speak. And then I'll just go ahead and glue down my stars where I want them. Okay, and I do want to make sure that I want my stars, normally I would do them random, like I don't care what direction they're pointed, but because, you know, I'm kind of representing what the stars are like on the flag, I want them all going in the same direction. So I'll just use my tweezers to kind of turn that. And I'll get this itty bitty one right here. Get it turned straight, and there we go. I hope you like this video. If you do, please give it a thumbs up. And if you like my channel, please subscribe by hitting that subscribe button and the notification bell if you want to be notified each time that I upload a video. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.